Good morning, everyone. I am Christy Kitara, and today we will venture another topic, which is the cry of PUGAD LAWIN, also known as BALINTAWAK. Do you know that there are two questions asked of this significant event in the history of the Philippines, the cry of PUGAD LAWIN or BALINTAWAK? And that is where, when, and how did this controversy started? Balintawak had always been the site for the cry, recognized by historians and students. This was all in the books in Philippine history being used in all schools. Aside from this, every August 26, this event was commemorated in this place. However, Chidoro Agoncillo steered the controversy when he said that the event actually happened on August 23, 1896, not August 26, and the site was PUGAD LAWIN and not Balintawak. The claim of Agoncillo started the confusion among the teachers and students of history. There are five places which are cited as the actual place where this event happened. These are August 20, 23, 24, 25, and 26. And the places are Balintawak, PUGAD LAWIN, Kangkong, Bahay Toro, and Pasong Tamo. Chidoro Agoncillo wrote 1956 that it took place in PUGAD LAWIN on August 23, 1896, based on Pio Valenzuela's statement. In further information, the next reporter we're going to elaborate the claim of Mr. Chidoro Agoncillo.
Where did Agoncillo base his claim that the cry happened on August 23, 1896 and in PUGAD LAWIN? According to an historian, Ambet Ocampo allegedly stated that Agoncillo based his claim not a primary source but a tertiary or at least second generation translation. In 1989, after a series of articles on the controversy over Balintawak and PUGAD LAWIN, I received a batch of photocopy manuscript with an invitation to peruse the original of what appeared to the paper of Bonifacio. This manuscript is being transcribed and printed by Agoncillo in two separate books. Months later, I decided to compare the Agoncillo's transcription with the Bonifacio original papers. According to Ambet Ocampo, after comparing the text, it appeared slightly different from the original Bonifacio papers. Translated an English translation of Bonifacio paper, which were themselves translated from Spanish by Epifanio de los Santos, who possesses the original Tagalog manuscript, while Agoncillo only reproduced the manuscript of original sa Tagalog by Bonifacio. The question is, where did Agoncillo base his claim? Actually, Agoncillo claimed that the cry happened in PUGAD LAWIN on August 23, 1896 was based on Pio Valenzuela's account, a photograph showing the latter with a granddaughter of Melchora Aquino named Monica Ramos, and other revolutionists stated that place. PUGAD LAWIN was the site of the general meeting of the Katipunan on August 23, 1896. In that meeting, it was determined that the fighting against the Spaniards would start and thus the cry marking the start of the Philippine Revolution against Spain. PUGAD LAWIN, in fact, was within the Balintawak area and should not be much of an issue except for the date, which was from what was known was August 26, 1896 to August 23, 1896. But a stickler to accuracy as he was known for, Agoncillo replaced Balintawak to PUGAD LAWIN.
Hello everyone.
My name is Jadeline Rin. So today, I want to discuss about history in the Philippines. So, this statement show that when Valenzuela was interviewed, he gave conflicting statement on the significant events of 1896. Why was Valenzuela account of the cry doubted by the historian like Gagliano, despite the fact that the renowned historian Teodoro Agoncillo referred to him as the most credible. Philippine Revolution against Spain, PUGAD LAWIN in fact was within the Balintawak area and should not be much of an issue except for the date, which was from what was known earlier was August 26, 1896 to August 23, 1896. But as strictly to accuracy as he was known for. Agoncillo replaced Balintawak to Pugad LAWIN. So, ningon sa diri nga si Agoncillo daw ang nag-ilis sa kaning kuan nga Balintawak ngadto sa Pugad LAWIN. Valenzuela's grandson, Arturo Valenzuela, in his unpublished work, which was based largely on his grandfather's, elaborated that the first cry of Balintawak was held on August 23 in the backyard of Tandang Sora's house. He was moved to Malanday on August 26, 1896. Thus, when the Spaniards arrived in Pasong Tamo, they found no Katipuneros in the place. They shot two farmers they saw in the place and then reported a cry of Balintawak. This was the reason, according to Valenzuela's grandson, why his grandfather, who was under Spanish integration in the 1896, referred to the dates of the cry as August 26. Ang apo ni Dr. Pio Valenzuela nga sa Arturo Valenzuela, nagsuwat daw siya pero wala ko na publish, which was nakabase sa gisalaysay ni Pio Valenzuela. Ang unang cry o Balintawak nahitabo ni adtong August 23 sa likod sa balay ni Tandang Sora. Magtataw dato ko no, niabot ko no ang mga Kastila sa Pasong Tamo. Pag abot ko no sa mga Kastila dito, kay wala ko no sila nakitaan nga bisag usa ka mga Katipunero, pero na sila or nakitaan nga duha ka magsasaka. After ato kay ilang gipatay sa mga Kastila ang katong duha ka magsasaka. Then pagkahuman na to kay nagulat sila ng sigaw ng Balintawak. So mao ni ang gisulti sa apo ni Valenzuela kung na pasailalim ng mga Espanyol si Dr. Pio Valenzuela noong 1890. Had the memoir of Valenzuela matched the sign of testimony he gave to the Spaniards when he was integrated, there could have no been issue on historical event. But his memoirs, published by Wenceslao Ritana, state that the former mentioned that the cry of PUGAD LAWIN happened on August 26. However, his memoir, which were published after the war, state that the cry happened on PUGAD LAWIN August 23, 1896. Ang testimonya ko ni Dr. Pio Valenzuela nga iya ko gipahayag sa mga Kastila noong siya ay tanungin nito ay tumutukoy or magkatugma ang mga ito. Ngunit si Wenceslao Ritana ay nag-publish tungkol dito na nakasaad na binanggit ang unang sigaw. Nangyari daw ito sa Balintawak noong August 26, 1896. Gayunman, ang kanyang mga alaala na inilathala pagkatapos ng digmaan ay nagsasaad na ang sigaw ay nangyari sa PUGAD LAWIN noong August 23, 1896. The late historian Pedro Gagliano wrote, "The controversy among the historians continues to the present day. The cry of PUGAD LAWIN cannot be accepted as historically accurate. It lacks positive documentation and supporting evidence from eyewitness. The testimony of only one eyewitness is not enough to accurate and verify controversial issue in history. Historian under participant, not politician under psycho is not enough to authenticate and verify controversial issue in history. Historian under participant, not politician under psychopaths, should settle this controversy." Niingon si Padre Gagilonia nga ang pugad lawin daw kay kanang dili kuno accepted. It's because kanang kuwang daw og kanang mga positive documentation og mga supporting evidence kay ang eyewitness kuno kay usara daw ang testimony. Mao na si Dr. Pio Valenzuela. Dili kuno enough ang kani nga kuan para ma-verify o ma-accepted siya.
Good day everyone, I am Dayan El Solaritan, your reporter at this moment. I will be reporting or discussing on the continuation on my groupmate's topic in relation to the year statement given and statements of Dr. Pio Valenzuela. Based on my research on the internet, the cry of Balintawak or the cry of the Katipunan wherein Katipuneros were seen tearing cedulas. In this controversy, I am explaining whether or not this event took place. It has been a controversy because there were no other witness other than Dr. Pio Valenzuela. Here I am to explain about the different view of the events, sides, and or evidences of the controversy. The events turns into controversy due to the given information from Dr. Pio Valenzuela, which is no other eyewitness of the cry of the Katipunan. So, in 1935, Valenzuela, Pantas, and Pacheco, I do not know how to pronounce it correctly, but anyways, they proclaim that the first cry of the revolution did not happen in Balintawak, but in a place called PUGAD, LAWIN. In 1940, a research team of the Philippines National Committee or a foreigner of the National Historical Institute or the NHI, which included Dr. Pio Valenzuela, identified the precise spot of the Pugad Lawin as part of Sitio Ugulod, Banlat, Caloocan City. But the question is, did Dr. Pio Valenzuela believe that Juan Ramos and Melchora Aquino live in the same home? In 1964, the National Historical Institute's minutes of the Katipunan referred to the place of the cry as the Tandang Soras and not Juan Ramos' house, and the date as August 23. Valenzuela Memoirs 1964-1978 aver that the cry took place on August 23 at the house of Juan Ramos at Pugad, Lawin. The National Historical Institute, obviously influenced by Valenzuela Memoirs. In 1963, upon the National Historical Institute endorsement, President Diosdado Macapagal ordered that the cry be celebrated on August 23 and that Pugad Lawin be recognized as its site. Acting statements of Valenzuela, another historian, John N. Scomacher, SJ, expressed doubt on his credibility, which is the negative stand. He stated, "We would certainly give much less credence to all accounts coming from Dr. Pio Valenzuela and to the interpretations Agoncillo got from him verbally. Since Dr. Pio Valenzuela gave so many versions from the time he surrendered to the Spanish authorities and made various statements not always compatible with one another up to the time when as an old man he was interviewed by Agoncillo. Pio Valenzuela backtracked on yet another point. In 1896, Valenzuela testified that when the Katipunan consulted Jose Rizal on whether the time he had come to revolt, Rizal was vehemently against the revolution. Later, in Agoncillo's Revolt of the Masses, Valenzuela retracted and claimed that Rizal was actually for the uprising if certain prerequisites were met. Agoncillo reasoned that Valenzuela had lied to save Rizal. In the account of the Filipino Revolution by Antonio Mendoza Guevara, referred to as Matatag, he wrote, "This day 2 companies of Guardia Civils one of artillery and the other of infantry, scaled the hill, coming upon us in the area called Pasong Tamo. The fight began at once. The brothers of the Katipunan had among them only four ancient flintlocks, which a heavy downpour rendered out of the commission in that time. The Katipuneros scattered the enemy troops withdrawing. Thanks to God, we suffered no casualties despite the closely fought skirmish and other being poorly armed. This was an account of the thick woods, rough terrain, and the timely and providential rain that saved us from the Spaniards who outnumbered us and had a better arms. And that's the end of my report. Hope that you'll get learnings out from my discussions. Thanks for listening, and once again, thank you.
Paghimagsik at nagkasalungatan ng mabasa ni Andres Bonifacio at Teodoro Plata. Nagpasya ang karamihan na ipagpatuloy ang labanan. Pinagtalunan din naman kung kailan gaganapin ang paghihimagsik at pinagkasunduan nila sa ika-29 ng gabi ay lulusubin ang Maynila. Sa daang Santa Mesa magdadaan at pasisimulan sa ika-5 ng hapon. Ang pagtitipon sa San Juan del Monte at mula doon papasukin ang Maynila sa gabi sa oras ng kinakailangang ipasok. Natapos ang pulong ng mga alas 6 ng hapon. Kinabukasan, ika-24 ay kami lumipat sa Paso de Laja sa bahay ni Felix Dopa o Secretary Europa. At dooy sinulat mula sa umaga hanggang hapon ni Emilio Jacinto ang mga kalatas na yaon ay sinasaysay, mga pinagkasunduan at pulong noong ika-23. Nang gabi rin yaon, ika-24 kami ay lumipat sa nayon ng Pasong Tamo sa bahay ni Aling Malfora. The first place of refuge of Andres Bonifacio, Emilio Jacinto, Porfirio Bonifacio, Teodoro Plata, Agredo del Rosario, and myself was Balintawak. The first 5 of us arriving there on August 19 and I on August 20, 1896. The first place where some 500 members of the Katipunan was the house and yard of Anpolonio Samson at Kangkong on August 22. Her views were only exchanged and no resolution was debated or adopted. It was in the storehouse and yard of Juan Ramos, son of Melchora Aquino in PUGAD, LAWIN, that over 1,000 members of the Katipunan met and debate highly on August 23, 1896. The discussion was whether or not the revolution against the Spanish government should be started on August 29, 1896. After the tumultuous meeting, many of those present tore their cédulas and shouted, "Long live the Philippines, long live the Katipunan." Thank you.
Good day, everyone. I'm here to tackle about the other account of the cry. So, included the following is General Guillermo Masangkay stated that it was August 26, 1896. So, Lieutenant Olegario Diaz recalled the event as having happened on August 24, 1896. So, Gregoria de Jesus Bonifacio, widow, in her memoir stated that the cry in Pasong Tamo or Caloocan, not in Makati. So, Santiago Alvarez, a Katipunero from Cavite, who referred to the event as having taken place on August 25, 1896 in Bahay Toro, which was also in Caloocan. Next is the Table of Jafra. Jafra, in 1960, made a review of the literature related to the cry from 1896 to 1956. So, you see in the table of the year of publish, who is the author, where is the place, and date of cry. What you see in the table is the sole aim was to pinpoint the start of the 1896 Philippine Revolution Bonifacio cry often lead to different interpretations, and as time went on the event became more absurd. Government issues policies that changed the date of the cry. Commemoration from 24 August 1896 to 26 1897. So, 26 August 1896 in 1911 and to 23 August 1896 in 1963. The Philippines and the fight keep on changing as more frivolous service modeled the significance of the event. Next is the Adrian Cristobal wrote, the official dating and placing of the revolutionary cry, and August 23, 1896 in PUGAD LAWIN has been challenged by a new breed of historians, Dr. Milagros C. Gorillo, Ramon N. Villegas, and Emmanuel Encarnacion. And the more accurate time and place was August 24, 1896 at the barn of Mikora Aquino aka Tandang Sora. Yan lang po at thank you.
Good day, everyone. I'm Chodoro Samlenog Jr. and I'm here to tackle about the cry of Ipogad Lawin. The cry of Ipogad Lawin was an eventually that officially marked the start of the Philippines Revolution against Spain. The revolt later grew in strength and spread to 8 provinces, including Manila, Bulacan, Cavite,
So on August 25th of 1986, a Katipunero sentry observed the arrival of Spanish civil guard in the area. So when Bonifacio observed their arrival, he hastily organized 10 companies, assigning 100 men to each company and dispersing the rest. At this time, only Bonifacio and Valenzuela had guns, and the rest were armed with bolos and bamboo spear. One of the company commanders, Pascual Daito Apollo, crawled towards the enemy's camp about 2 kilometers away, so Bonifacio, Jacinto, and Valenzuela took their position on horses at the 10 companies gradually encircle it. As the native bolos were no match for rifles, so the Katipuneros' only recourse was to bear upon the ranks of the enemy and tear them apart by sheer weight and force of number. Dictating the Katipuneros' movement, however, the civil guard retreated in force, who was eager to deliver the coup de grace or the final blow. Ngunit hinabol sila ng mga Katipunero sa mainit na pagtugis at napigilan silang patayin dahil sa pagdating ng Guardia Civil. Then the Guardia Civil guards opened fires at the Katipuneros, attacked and engaged with them into hand-to-hand fighting that resulted in the death of 2 Katipuneros and 1 civil guard. Pagkatapos ng maikling labanan, Katipuneros withdrew to Balara, a part of Marikina. Then on August 26, 1896, they held another meeting which it was decided that the open hostilities were to start on 29. After their meeting, Valenzuela assigned to go to Pateros in Binyan, Laguna to relay the decision of the people. And on August 26th, military authorities in Manila sent a contingent of artillery men to Pasong Tamo in the hope of fighting the rebels. On the report of the Spanish officers who had commanded the civil guard and infantrymen, the government soldier found the place deserted when they arrived, and they saw 2 farm bands on their way home, and what they did is pinatay ito ng mga Espanyol. And let it be known where the battle had taken place, and this was the origin of the widely circulated story that the cry of Balintawak occurred on August 26, 1896.
Of PUGAD LAWIN, I am here to tackle about the happenings on the dates 27th of August, 28th, 29th, and the 30th. So, hello everyone, I am Aramay Tamara, and I am here to continue the discussion about the cry of the PUGAD LAWIN. So, the first is 27th of August. Katipunero set forth for Malanday. It is also in Marikina. And the second happening is Valenzuela left in a mission that would bring him to Pateros by boat. There's nothing really big happening on this date, so let's proceed on the 28th of August. The Katipuneros proceeded to Barrio Hagdang Bato in Mandaluyong, where Bonifacio released a manifesto. This manifesto is for all of you. It is absolutely necessary for us to stop at the earliest possible time the nameless oppressions being perpetrated on the sons of the people who are now suffering the brutal punishment and tortures in jails. And because of this, please let all the brethren know that on Saturday, the revolution shall commence according to our agreement. So for this purpose, it is necessary for all towns to rise simultaneously and attack Manila at the same time. And if anyone who will oppose this said ideal, they will be considered traitor, unless they are ill or not physically fit. It was decided that all their supporters in the surrounding towns alerted of the impending strike on Manila. This would take place on August 29th. So on August 29th, in Pateros, Valenzuela went about informing the people about the uprising and acquired a gun from a Filipino priest from Pasig. His name is Father Victor Ramos. The last day that I will be tackling, it was on August 30. The first battle of the Philippine Revolution took place at San Juan del Monte with 1,000 men behind Andres Bonifacio. It was on the eve of the 29th that they attacked civil guards present at San Felipe Neri. Also, on seeing the mob, they surrendered their weapons and were taken captive. So Bonifacio began their attack on El Polvoron, a Spanish depot located in San Juan del Monte. However, well, well-armed the Spanish contingent was, they suffered the loss of 2 armies, wherein the one of that is a commander in charge. So that's the reason why the Spanish retreated. So Bonifacio and his army was no match for the Remington rolling block rifle wielders that swarmed the terrain. It was when Bonifacio and his army attack for the purpose for aiming that they will defeat the remaining Spanish army. So the bodies in the Katipuneros swarmed and littered on the street, some in gutters and some on the road. So Bonifacio once again evaded capture and retreated with the other survivors to the Pasig River. And the last happening on this day, Valenzuela, accompanied by several Katipuneros, traveled to Binian by land to relay the cry of Balintawak to another priest, who is Father Silvino Manalo. Even though defeated, his actions triggered a series of rebellious uprisings against Spanish rule. At about the same time also, Valenzuela, accompanied by several Katipuneros, relayed a message, which is the cry of Balintawak, to another priest, who is Father Silvino Manalo. That would be all. Thank you very much.